How's it going, guys, and welcome to another video here today. And honestly, this is something that I've been trying to do for a minute. I've been thinking about this since June the 2nd when they originally released this trailer, and I'm just gonna want to talk about what I want to see for the next Resident Evil game. I am a huge Resident Evil fan. My first Resident Evil game was Resident Evil 2 back on the PlayStation 1, and I pretty much played every Resident Evil that I've been getting my hands on, whether it's like a spin-off game or whether it's like the new remakes or the old original PlayStation games and GameCube games and everything. So I had a long time history with Resident Evil, and Resident Evil 4 is one of those games that I really actually hold really dear to my heart, although it may not be my favorite Resident Evil game. That's Resident Evil 2. I still very much like that game, and I'm very curious about this new remake that they're doing and everything. So today I want to dive into my thoughts and feelings about this. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below as well. Let me know, what do you want to see for Resident Evil 4 down the line whenever it comes out as a remake. So one of the first things, I think one of the most obvious things, is I don't really want the story to change much, although I won't say it's the best Resident Evil story or anything like that. I feel like it very much works, especially for the time period where they came out and everything, and it will kind of suck a little bit if they try to like modernize it in like not a good way. I think Capcom can be not good at this kind of stuff sometimes, although they make good remakes, and definitely lately they have been doing a pretty good job with like Resident Evil 2. I don't know, I kind of feel a little iffy on like Resident Evil 3 wasn't as good as Resident Evil 2 as far as like remakes and everything, so I'm very cautiously optimistic about it, but I definitely don't want to see too many changes where it like becomes a different game, right? And I don't know, I'm very excited about it. I think that it could do a good job, but definitely don't mess with the story. The story works out well. One thing that I will say that I've seen a lot of people point out is Ashley, which is the companion that you get on this game. She's very much not a very useful character. A lot of people will call her useless or unimportant story-wise and everything, but I think that they could do a lot with her as a character companion. She could do more, and of course you also have the bits with Ada, which is another character that kind of works as a companion in a sense. She got her own, also like almost like DLC prior to DLC, where she got her own storyline and everything. It will be interesting whether they could just like join those things together, or you can go back and forth between different characters and everything, and you play different sections with like Ada. And for Ashley particularly, I feel like it will be interesting if they gave her more things to do, but not like you play more as Ashley, but more like Ashley has more things like access to like weapons, or maybe like a knife or something like that. I don't know, maybe not as useless as in the original game. I think she's an okay character. I don't really have any like strong feelings about her or anything, but obviously she's core part of the story, and as we see in the trailer, she's gonna be there in the story again, because the whole thing that puts you into Spain in a particular time period is rescuing her, right? So she has to be an essential part of the story at some point, right? So I don't know, I think that it will be interesting if they just even cut out like the parts where she's like there with you, but it will have to work in a certain way where she's like more helpful in a way. I don't know, it's just very frustrating when you're playing the game and it's game over because she died or because a zombie got her or something like that. It happens sometimes in some of my playthroughs, especially when you're playing in like the hardest difficulties. It can happen where like one single hit will just completely destroy her, and sometimes you're not paying attention, or sometimes you are paying attention but there's too many zombies around you or something like that. So I don't know, there's definitely a lot of strategic ways to like get around that, but for newcomers, especially now that Resident Evil has kind of like brought back another wave of new players with like Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3, the remakes, I feel like there's this new wave of new players, newcomers that maybe have played the original one but I want to check out the new one, so I don't know, I feel very strong about the game, and I feel like they could kind of work out in some kind of strong, interesting way. I mentioned Ada earlier. I think I would like her to be more involved in the story, although she is kind of involved in the story. There's like almost like a key part missing there, and I don't know if it's just me from like Resident Evil 2 and everything, but I feel like they could easily give her more to do in the game, to the point where she could be a more integral part of the story and everything like that. I don't know. I feel like in Resident Evil 4, particularly, she has a lot of like story bits that didn't really make sense, or they were there just because she was there and everything. But they could definitely rework her character storyline a little bit more interesting. I would be very curious if they can do something with that, because I like Ada a lot. She's one of my favorite characters, and it will be interested to see that. One thing that I would like to see maybe a little bit more of is maybe get this connected to like Raccoon City and like all that kind of stuff, but also like get connected with like the other side of Resident Evil, like the rest of the cast and everything like that from the other games and everything. Overall, I think that Resident Evil 4 has a lot of potential to be a really good kind of like remake. I think that it will work out pretty well. I'm thinking that discussion on its own even is whether this even needs a remake. I know it's a PlayStation 2 game, and of course the obvious answer is like, well, it could look better, but does it really need to look better? Because overall the game still plays pretty decent, and I think still a pretty good game. So I don't know, it's a different discussion altogether. I think overall I will be just kind of open to most changes and everything, as long as they're not too obtrusive into like the integral part of the stories or miss anything particularly. I'm also very interested to see about the COD content, because there's been a lot of discussion as far as like bringing COD content from the original demo that we see a while ago. There's been like a lot of like leaks of like COD content that it was gonna be in the game and everything like that, and a lot of people have commented like, oh, they're bringing this content back and everything. I don't know, a lot of it's very interesting. This game looks a little bit more darker, like more like how to say, like a lot more involved in like the horror aspect of a game, and I'll be interested to see how that works out with the Resident Evil franchise and everything now, because Resident Evil 4 is like the turning point of like the Resident Evil franchise, when it became more action than survival horror. So like I'll be interested to see if like they're able to find a good mixture of both elements. I will say they have, because the remakes clearly show that you can still make a really damn good action game with a lot of like survival horror elements, just like they've done before and everything. So very curious to see how they balance both out, because I'm really excited. Honestly, I'm really excited for this game. Cannot wait. But let me know in the comments down below, like I mentioned before. I want to hear your feelings and thoughts about all this. Thank you so much for watching this, guys. Like and subscribe. I'm trying to make more videos in this channel. I know I make like once a month or twice a month, but there's barely been any games lately. Like June has been completely dry from games, and then July just started. So I think the only game that I'm kind of interested on is like the Xenoblade Chronicles, which I'm probably gonna cover on my main channel, and of course Stray, which is this cat game. So we'll see about that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.